Hello, everybody. 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse number 7 has become probably one of my favorite verses among many. And Peter says this when he wrote 1 Peter 5:7. He says, casting all of your care upon him, for he careth for you. And when you think about that casting all of your cares on the Lord has a threefold connotation with it. The first thing is casting those things that distract, those things that distract you. The Bible says, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith, keeping our eyes on him. All other things distract. Now, when it says casting our cares, things that you care about more than you should, things that disturb, things that distract, things that are dear, things that disturb, things that worry you, things that create fear, things that keep you awake at night, things that make you walk the floors, those kinds of cares. Casting all of those cares. Some people walk around like the world's coming to an end in the next 30 minutes. And everything's falling in on them, and they don't know what to do, and they're anxious, and they're disturbed, and they're worried about everything. And I just found this verse to be a lot of comfort in those times. Things that disturb, things that distract, things that are dear. People that you care about, that are dear to your heart, casting those onto the Lord, for he careth for you. The word casting is a fisherman's term. Peter was a fisherman. It was a casting term. It was a fisherman's term. It was to embrace the idea of casting a net and throwing it out and turning it loose. My problem is not throwing my cares onto the Lord. My problem is turning them loose. I remember an illustration one time at the end of a sermon. I had people in the congregation to write their cares down, write their problems down, write the things that are disturbing them and things that they worry about. All of these kind of things on a 3x5 card. And I told them to pick up a songbook and stick those into that songbook. And at the invitation, I asked them to bring that songbook with all of their cares, with all their worries, with all those things that disturb them, with all those things that distract them, with all those things that are dear to them, and bring them to the altar and give them to Jesus. And the illustration proved this. When people got up and went back to their seats, they picked their songbook up and they took it back to their seats. Now, I understand most people would do that because they don't want somebody else to have to pick up after them and pick the songbook up and put it up for them. And I understand why most of them did it, but in reality, that's what we do. We go to the altar in prayer. Whether we come to the church altar, whether we make an altar in our car, whether we praying going down the road, whatever the case might be, we take all of those things that distract and disturb and are dear to our hearts and things that cause us to be anxious and to worry. And we pray about those things and we cast those things onto the Lord, but we don't let it go. This verse, casting all our care upon him, letting it go, for he careth for you. Try that today and see if it doesn't help you a little bit. It helps me a whole lot. Yes, there's things that I worry about. Yes, there's things that disturb me and all those kinds of things. But there's one thing for sure. Worry doesn't get you anywhere. Worry doesn't change anything, no matter how much you worry about it. Cast all of that stuff, all of those things, onto the Lord, just like a fisherman would cast a net and let it go and let God do the rest. If he can't do it, you sure can't. So why worry about it? It's taking up all of your time. And the devil has us in bondage most of the days, thinking the world's going to come to the end the next 10 minutes. Why don't you cling to that verse and cast all of your care upon him? For he does care for you.